Well, we can talk about Twitter. And we can talk about a bit about that. That's quite interesting.
You can educate me, Kev, because I don't know much about it. So educate me.
Well, currently part of that nonsense narrative is cancel culture. So there's lots of news articles, cancel culture. They're forcing people to not. I expressed my conservative values, and now they disagreed with me, etc. And which stopped me. They forced me. And what? Oh, so that you've argued for deregulation, and they've disagreed? No, that's not what they mean, is it? They mean the other sort of conservative values. But yeah, so Twitter. Years and years ago, I don't know if it was on this channel or it might have been on our other channel. I did say, with Twitter, it is the biggest democratic voice in history. People have now got a voice more than they've ever had in history. And that it is the ultimate free speech in a sense. So what happens is, it's hell. It's basically hell. It's the worst place on the internet. It's everything is black and white, and you're a goodie or a baddie. You're on one side or the other, and people will just spam you. I follow Fantasy Football League. What's his name?
Frank Skinner.
No, the other one.
David Baddiel.
David Baddiel, yeah. And he can't post anything. He posts something, and he has pages and pages of responses of basically angry people either angrily agreeing with him or angrily disagreeing with him, and that's it. That's humanity. That is, it is just a result of masses of free speech. But obviously, what's happened is people get banned from Twitter for going over the top. Because lots of people disagree with them, or even people aren't necessarily banned from Twitter, but they say something on Twitter, and that can affect their work. Because as a result of knowing what their opinions are, people don't necessarily want to work with them. I think J.K. Rowling has had some difficulty, but I don't think a lot of difficulty, actually.
No, she's had no difficulty.
I think she's had lots of people disagreeing with it, actually.
Yeah, but her books have continued to sell. I'm not entirely sure how J.K. Rowling has been cancelled. Yeah,
I think
other than people disagreeing with her.
Yeah, I think there was some people didn't want to use her name in something they were making and that kind of thing, because they know her opinion on something. Okay, so they're saying, "Oh, it's the end of free speech, but really, it's not anything to do with free speech at all, is it? Graham Linehan, I think on the same subject. Yeah, it's on the same subject. Has done lots of interviews and stuff like that. I think he was even on Newsnight. And he has whatever argument it is about trans something, which I don't know anything about. So whatever. But and he makes a logical, reasoned point, whether it's right or wrong. But it turns out, if you went on Twitter and saw what he was writing on Twitter, he wasn't doing that at all. He was going around targeting people, saying, "But men aren't women, though." Lol.
He was. I think Graham Linehan, from what I saw, he actually went off the rails.
Yeah, I think he was obsessed. He was tweeting so often that he was not.
He was posting for 48 hours solid, sort of thing.
Yeah, barely even sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd basically gone internet mad. He'd just become obsessed, and then he goes on the TV and says, "Oh, I've been cancelled because of this very serious thing that I have about this subject, and I believe this and this and this." He's just lying, because that's not why he was banned.
Yeah, and there's the hypocrisy's there. He's there on TV. Explaining how he's been cancelled.
Yeah.
Hello.
End of free speech. But if he'd gone onto Twitter and made that point he made on the telly, he would not have been banned from Twitter.
No.
Has he lost work as a result? Well, I don't know. He says he has. But the problem.
I'll be surprised if he came up with a series idea. I'm sure Channel 4 would make it.
Yeah. If Graham Linehan says, "I've written a sitcom, do you want to make it?" Yes, you do. Yeah, but I mean, let's say he's lost work. Maybe let's say that Channel 4 will no longer make his sitcoms. The problem with that is, what do you do about it? Do you take away the free speech of all the people disagreeing with him, should we never have given all these people speech in the first place? You know, should it only be people who have attained the levels of him should be allowed to make a public pronouncement?
Yeah, the problem is, why should Graham Linehan have a platform to share his views on trans stuff? I mean, what skin has he got in the game?
Nothing. Well, yeah, which he said himself that he's the wrong person to be doing it. But somehow he's gone internet mad and started just spamming people, trolling people. Literally, he targets people who have not commented, who have not tweeted him, you know, and just trolled them, and sent horrible messages to them. Nothing to do with his point. But
so, was he actually kicked off Twitter?
Yes.
Oh, he was?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
But he kept doing it. Men aren't women, though. THO. Lol. You know, he just kept doing it. But he wasn't doing it to people who were in the conversation.
Yeah.
He was finding people and tweeting it at them and doing it over and over and over and over and over and over. So he was literally a troll. You know. But yeah, so on the one hand, what do you do about it? So if he's lost work because of his opinion on something unrelated to his work, you can't stop the people from disagreeing with him, and you can't say to Channel 4, you have to work with him, you don't get a choice. The government will force you, from all these libertarians. So what do you do about it?
Well, as Twitter is a private institution, I'm sure we've said this before, it can decide to platform or deplatform whoever it wants.
Yeah. Private company.
There's nothing you can really do about that.
There are other platforms, they're just not as big. Yeah.
If you feel that everyone should be able to have a voice regardless of what it is, then you should be asking your government to provide that space for that to happen, yeah?
Yeah.
Which obviously the right is going to be really reticent to do.
Yeah.
Because government shouldn't get involved in anything. But that's or I suppose the alternative is you set up your own platform.
Exactly. And there are specifically right-wing platforms.
There was one that everyone's gone to, which is I don't know, I can't remember what it's called, but Katie Hopkins is on there.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I can't remember what it's called.
And the guy with the dog and stuff like that.
Advertise it if I could, but it must be an absolute hellhole.
Can you imagine? Oh yeah, fucker. But
could you imagine what a right-wing echo chamber is like?
Yeah, well, you can imagine it will be the most sensitive place on the internet, actually.
Yeah.
That they'll all be there saying how everyone's offended, and they'll be really touchy about the slightest little thing.
Yeah, it'll be a blizzard of snowflakes. I mean,
it's interesting. We are in a world now where there are people who have stopped listening to and have, verbally said how disgusted they are that Rage Against the Machine, it turns out, are raging against the machine. Not like the old days when they didn't rage against the machine.
There's an anarchist bent to that band
that
I wasn't aware of.
Yeah. I actually found their first gig in 1991, and they're called Rage Against the Machine. And it's all there. It's brilliant. They're really good right from the start. They're really good. And the singer does sound about 12 because he was, but now he's not, and he still sounds about 12. Amazing.
Rage Against the Machine, good man.
Yeah. Tom Morello's good. He does the v on his guitars and stuff.
Yeah. So I cancelled Facebook. I think I mentioned this last week. I cancelled Facebook again. You said, "You on Facebook?" And I remembered afterwards why I was on Facebook. It was because the British Embassy in Guatemala, when they shut the airport and closed the borders, told us to monitor the situation on Facebook.
Shit,
that was their official advice. So I thought, oh god, I better reactivate it.
So did you reactivate your channel with all the people added there come back again, or did you have to make?
So I think there's two. I think Facebook are a little bit. You can deactivate your profile but not delete it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that way, when you reactivate it,
right,
all your friends are there, all your posts are there, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I've got to do that because if you can completely delete it, but then you lose access to Messenger. So if I do that, we won't be able to chat on Facebook Messenger, essentially.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I haven't really
deleted it again.
Done the permanent delete. Because it's really depressing. Facebook is really depressing. It's sort of like...
Well, it's a sort of... what's the word? It's like a... you didn't play The Witcher 3, did you? Well, the sort of central of the place in the largest area. The largest area is as big as Skyrim on its own. It's a huge game. Is the end of what is obviously a battlefield, and it's just there's nothing there, and it's kind of like that. So it's not like Twitter where the fire is burning, and they will kill you. There's just kind of nothing.
Why isn't there anywhere nice on the internet, Kev?
There's our place. Our comment section is the only nice place on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. So YouTube is also a hellhole. It's just people.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing. They're just making videos with ridiculous titles.
Then fuck you.
Yeah, and just crap basically.
I'm trying to find you on here. I can't actually find you on here.
Oh, you probably won't.
Oh,
on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't turn up in search results or anything like that.
Right. So you're on, but you don't have presence.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You can lurk on Facebook. Interesting.
Well, I can't go on Facebook.
Right. You can only go on Messenger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can keep all my browsing history and
personal
whatever
information,
data they've collected on me, and
height and
all the
food
bullshit.
preferences and
all that crap.
Medical history.
Yeah. Everything you need to run a successful social media platform.
Yeah. But I mean, there's no solution, is there? This is a problem. Humanity's terrible.
I was thinking about it the other day. It would be nice. I'm sure you could do this if you could write an algorithm, a bit like the Google algorithm, really, that ranks the trollness of people post. Let's say Twitter. It analyses their posting history and it gives them a ranking of trollness. Yeah, say between 1 and 10, and then you could set your filters to filter out anyone below a 7.
Yes. The problem with that, people will abuse it. Anyone you disagree with gets
well, you
trolled.
can do that anyway. You can block people anyway on Twitter. But if you say, look, I don't want, I don't. I mean, that way the trolls can have their fun, because actually, I mean, is trolling a bad thing? If trolling's only, it reminds me of EVE Online. So there was two aspects to EVE Online. There was PvE and PvP.
Right, yeah.
Player versus player and player versus environment.
Yeah.
And the PvE people just wanted to go around, explore.
Yeah. Play Elite, basically.
Play Elite. And the PvP people just wanted to go on and shoot people. And the PvP people were really upset that there was this PvE aspect to the game. And the PvE people were really upset that there was a PvP aspect to the game. And I think Twitter's the same, really. The problem comes when the trolls come into contact with people who generally want to use Twitter as a social media platform and keeping in touch with their friends, and sharing ideas and things that they've seen and stuff like that. So if you could filter out the trolls, basically, they can still exist on there. They can still have endless, ridiculous debates with each other, as long as it's not like inciting violence or whatever rules Twitter want to apply.
Yes.
But you can filter it all out if you want. Now, and that does two things. It means you don't get a barrage of crap, and most of it, depending on the algorithm, assuming it's successful, most of it you just don't see. And also trolls. There are the trolls who are just interested in having a go at normal people. They're very quickly going to get found out, and very quickly that they won't be successful.
Yes.
Because their troll rating will go up, yeah?
Yes.
So they'll be filtered out of everyone's conversations. That encourages them to stay on the straight and narrow.
Yes. Isn't it also open to abuse, though? The famous people going on there, if someone wants to target someone, they can give them a troll rating, can't they? And enough people.
No, you don't do it. Twitter does it. Twitter does like the Google algorithm, you know.
Oh, it runs an algorithm to give you a rating. Okay.
Yeah, an algorithm just analyzes your history, your chat history, or whatever. Your
the
posting
computer's
history.
biased against me.
Yeah, I mean Reddit does something similar. It's sort of, but it does rely on the community. So if someone posts a comment that you find useful or a link that you find useful, you're supposed to upvote it. But what tends to happen is people upvote the comments they like and downvote the comments they don't like.
Yes.
Which really gets like the group mentality of a sub on Reddit. It's sort of like you can sort of identify very quickly, you know, that that subs group thing.
Yeah.
But if you had an algorithm which was quite independent and then that analysed, you know, I should imagine the kind of things you say, how long you reply, you know, how long you stay in a conversation and stuff. I'm sure there's enough metrics you can get to come up with some kind of valuable troll rating.
Yes.
That Twitter could use.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Although again, you'd have the same problem you have everywhere else with puppet accounts and all that. But again, they would get out very quickly. They would get.
Yeah, and I would say a puppet, like an account that's not very old, would automatically. It'd be like in Google when you create a new website, it gets nerfed for the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Longevity increases your ranking.
Yeah.
So the same thing on Twitter. Longevity and accurate posting or whatever will reduce your troll rating or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is something like that in the background anyway.
Perhaps I haven't quite figured out, because I don't really use Twitter, but I've been using it for the last couple of days. I was just interested, and I haven't quite figured out the.
Don't do it, Kev. Don't do it, honestly.
It's another thing, isn't it, to waste time? So I'm not.
It is. You can waste so much time on Twitter. You know, you just scroll up, you see a comment, and you just think that is absolute bollocks. So you you reply, and all of a sudden you're sucked into a 3-day Twitter battle.
Yeah. Or you don't think that's bollocks. You think, oh, that's really interesting. I'll click on that. And then you look at the replies.
Yeah, it's the replies. God. They're just so disheartening. You're like, oh God.
But it is the biggest democratic voice in history. You know, that is free speech right there. That's what happens when you get free speech. Well, it's not free speech. No, we've never had free speech. No country has free speech. But that's the closest thing we've ever had.
Yeah, I think you probably need to. I'm not sure I'd equate democracy and free speech. Just because it's free speech doesn't necessarily mean it's a force for democracy. If everyone's sort of, if you know.
Well, that's the argument that's supposed to be happening, is people are being hounded and forced off Twitter.
Well, I mean, I look at democracy a bit like a market. You know, voters the more informed voters are on the decisions they're making, and the more they act based on that information, is the more democratic a country is.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So Twitter, it's all. I mean, how much do you actually learn from Twitter? Even if it's a solid gold fact that you would not learn from anywhere else. Well, are you actually going to be able to decipher it as a fact?
Exactly. Yeah.
Amongst all the bull crap that's on there.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why, data people, big data people are going. They reckon in the next couple of, in 2 years' time, data people will be as employable as programmers, because when there's 99.9% of the information on the internet is bollocks. It's just so much information. It's just nothing.
Yeah, well,
someone can go in and get it.
I think data people, like machine learning and stuff like that, the vast majority of a data person's job is cleaning up the data so it can actually be used.
Exactly. Yeah.
It sounds really tedious to me, if you ask me.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's essentially the new version of the database people, but it's almost kind of the new version of the networking people as well. In that now everything's networked, so now we've got to do the thing now. There's too much of it. You know, if you want to see what Al Murray is doing or read his joke, you can read his joke. But there's a lot of people who are very, very angry with him.
Yeah.
Um,
Comedian post joke on Twitter.
Fuck you.
Newsflash.